GradingPal is an AI-powered grading and feedback tool that helps teachers review student work. In GradingPal, grading isn't finished until you return the submission to the student. Returning that submission is what makes grades and feedback visible to the students. Until you return it, the students can't see anything. In this video, I'll show you what happens when you return work, how to return individual submissions, how to return in bulk, and how Google Classroom GradeSync works. Once you return a submission, the student can see their score and feedback in GradingPal, and the submission status updates to say returned to student, so you can track what has been released. Let me show you how it works. It is very important for teachers to review student work, even if it's been graded by AI. So that is the reason that these don't go straight back to students. If it went straight back to students, you wouldn't even be talking about returning the submission, but we want you to review it first. I talk more about that in other videos with a pedagogical focus, like if we viewed the submission. In other videos, I've shown you how to take time to review the feedback, review the score, make sure you agree. But this is a more technical video, so I'm just showing you exactly what to do next to get things moving. Here, after you've reviewed the student work, you would mark as reviewed, okay, if you agree with it, or if you've made some changes and you're sure of your changes, then you click mark as reviewed. So I've done that for one student. Right here in that same place, actions in the top right corner, I could say return submission. Now, if I exit out of my teacher account and go over to that student account, you'll see what it looks like on their side. So I reviewed one student's work and I reviewed the scores and the feedback that GradingPal assigns to that student for their work, and I returned it to them. Now we're looking at it from the student side. We can click view graded submission. And it looks very similar to what we were seeing in GradingPal from the teacher side. It's just a little more streamlined here, looking at the rubric scoring and then looking at the feedback here on the student's work. Now, because I chose the targeted style of feedback, it does have a nice visualization for students that I think could be really helpful for them. If you click on this side, on the right-hand side in targeted feedback comments, you'll see the place in the text that relates to the feedback. You could also do the opposite. You could click on the left-hand side in the text, and you see in this zoomed in feature, the feedback that goes with that part of the student work. Okay, I just showed you how to review a submission and then mark as reviewed and return to student in the student submission page, like where we're looking at an individual submission. You could also do that for an individual student, this whole class view of the submissions tab. I could click on the three dots, I could click mark as reviewed, and then I could click return submission, okay? Very similar to what I just did when I was inside that one student's work. But I'm not gonna do that right here. I'm showing you the buttons. I hope you see those clearly, but I'm not gonna do it right here because I wanna show you another way that you can do things even faster, right? Again, we want you to take your time to review student work. But if you've clicked in to view the submission and reviewed it and maybe edited the feedback, and if you've clicked in to view this submission, and I only have 2 students set up here, but you would have 20 or 25 or 30, right? If you've reviewed all of the submissions and you've marked them as reviewed, then you can click up here right next to the word student as like the header of the row, and it shows 2 submissions selected. If I have 20 students there and I had clicked there, it would show 20 students selected, right? If I had 30 students and I clicked there, it would show 30 students selected, right? Now I have some batch actions. I can do mark as reviewed. I would caution you from doing that here though, because I really want you to keep track in each student's work that you are reviewing their work one by one. I do think this return selected button is really helpful though. We don't want to press return selected, return selected, return selected to students over and over and over. If we've reviewed it, if we've been responsible teachers and reviewed it, then we're ready to return it all at once like this. Successfully returned 2 submissions to students. That was batch. Of course, if I had 20 students, it would have done 20 all at once, and it's returned to the student. After that batch return, we can see this first student has their graded submission that they could click in and view right there, just as we've seen before. Student has their submission returned as well. And if you had 20 students, there would be 20 returns, just like that. That's batch return. Last, I'll show you what it looks like to return submissions when you are using Google Classroom with GradingPal in the LMS integration. If you use Google Classroom, we strongly recommend creating assignments in GradingPal and publishing them to Google Classroom rather than the other way around. This setup supports the cleanest sync of the grades and the best access to detailed feedback. When you've set up an assignment in an LMS connected classroom within GradingPal, you'll see here that students will submit via Google Classroom is pre-selected. That's what I'm gonna go with here and finish setup. When I publish now on the student side in Google Classroom, students will have the opportunity to upload their work. Now I'm in Google Classroom on the student side, and you can see I can add or create work. I have made it a PDF. I'm gonna upload that from the device. Now I can turn it in. We'll go back over to the teacher side in GradingPal to practice reviewing and then returning to the student Then we'll come back over here and see what it looks like for the student in Google Classroom. Now we're back on the teacher side, and you can see the student has been given a score. We're going to click View Submission. You see the score, you see the explanation of the score. This is all the stuff that you would take the time to review to make sure that it's done to your liking. You can also look at the student feedback. Of course, in this video, I'm rushing through this because it's more of a technical setup, but you should slow down and review, okay? I'm going to remind you here that I can mark as reviewed. Then I'm going to click Actions again and return submission. Text says return to student. We can go back over to Google Classroom and see what it looks like. Now we're back in Google Classroom on the student side, and you can see that the work has been returned. So you still see the student's work here, but under it, you see a link to GradingPal. I'm going to click there, and now you see the student's original work. You see their overall score, you see their score for each rubric criterion, and you see the feedback. Now, because we chose the targeted style of feedback, again, I can click on the right-hand side and GradingPal automatically highlights the place in the text that connects to the feedback, or I could click on the text in the feedback that's yellow. It becomes brighter yellow, deeper highlight, and then you see a call-out box with the feedback that connects directly to that point right here. So that's it. Now you know how to return submissions to students in a few different ways. And of course, each one is going to give high quality feedback that's going to help your students feel seen, help them understand what they do best and what they need to do to improve.